Welcome back, and welcome to the weekly discussion between our two prominent attorneys of the Capitol Forum. This segment is called Business and Immigration Law, where we keep you up to date on the latest in the immigration arena. This here is proudly relayed by attorney Ramesh Khurana of the Khurana law firm located in Gaithersburg, Maryland. The moderator is attorney Kenneth Haber from Boyd's, Maryland. On this Good Saturday morning, attorney Haber questions attorney Khurana on the preparation for H-1B visa issuance at the U.S. Embassy. An interesting topic. Let's hear it out.
Welcome. My name is Kenneth Haber. I'm a former assistant United States attorney and I'm former senior attorney from the Office of Inspector General, United States Department of Health and Human Services. That's the Medicare cops. And with me in the studio audience today is Ramesh Khurana. Welcome, Ramesh.
Thank you.
Ramesh is literally a worldwide attorney because he has an immigration practice out of Gaithersburg, Maryland, and this is the Capitol Forum. Ramesh, are you ready to answer a few questions so to help our studio audience and our viewing audience to know a little bit better about immigration law?
Sure, I'm always excited in your company. Again, thank you for the nice introduction.
My pleasure, sir.
Yes, to answer your question, I'm always ready to answer your questions.
Very good, very good. Are you ready to get into the preparation of the H-1B visa when it's issued at the U.S. embassies?
Yes.
Could you tell us about that process?
Yeah. You know, Ken, what happens is when you are talking about the visa issuance at the U.S. Embassy or U.S. Consulate abroad, you know, you have really met the challenge of filing a very good petition, and now the H-1B petition is approved. Now the question is, what is the next step? If a person is not issued a visa, especially when that applicant or the beneficiary of an H-1B petition is sitting overseas. Say for example, person is sitting overseas in India and his H-1B petition is approved. How can he come? He can come only when the H-1B visa is issued in the passport. So this is another stage where a person has to go through a very, very tough time. First of all, he has to make sure what types of documentation that person would be carrying, and he has the onus before the consular officer to prove that whatever has been said about him, because he is an applicant, that is true. He might have said that he is holding a master degree in computer science. He has to prove that he has really a master degree in computer science, and then the petition says he has a 5 years of progressive work experience. Then you have to prove it that he has a progressive 5 years work experience.
Does he bring all this paperwork in with him at that time, or is it already submitted in advance?
These papers are submitted in advance, which is part of the H-1B petition, and before that petition would be approved, most of these documents are there. But it's a stage where the validation of this document might be done, and sometimes the embassy officials might talk to the university which issued the degree or diploma to that person. They want to make sure that this is a bona fide diploma issued to the person, and the person is claiming that he worked for 5 years with 2 different companies. They might pick up the phone and talk to those companies. Did this person work with you? It happens all the times, and there are certain approved petitions which are just eliminated because they are not able to verify whatever claims were made in the petition.
Yeah.
Believe me.
I believe you. There was a situation once where somebody was impersonating some attorney in Detroit. Unfortunate for him that the attorney was a classmate of mine.
Yeah.
He went to jail, not the classmate, but the impersonator.
Right. So, my dear friend, it's a roller coaster drive, believe me. You know, it doesn't end up at the time of approval of the petition unless the person has been issued a visa. So, I would say that getting your H-1B petition approved is just the first step, and the most important step is to come out of the gateway and enter the United States, and you are admitted on your H-1B status, otherwise you get stuck there. So make sure whatever is stated in the petition, that's true. Other thing I have seen, Ken, sometimes people even do not know who are going for the interview, like how much salary has been offered to them and what are their job duties.
And this is important to know.
You know, officer who is interviewing him, he doesn't have more than 2 minutes. He would simply say, what are the job duties you will be doing while you are reporting to your employer? And he starts looking left and right, or he starts looking into the file to see some papers. So the people have to be really fully prepared while going for the interview.
So they got about 2 minutes for the interview?
Hardly 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
They really have to be prepared on all of it.
Yeah, unless the officer feels the necessity of penetrating into some more documentation, asking more questions, officer doesn't have more time. They have already done the background work. You know, that's a good thing. They know about the petition very well.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Which federal agency adjudicates and decides and approves or denies the H-1B petitions filed in the United States by an employer?
You know, Ken, first of all, when the H-1B petition is filed, it is filed with USCIS. Now, which is part of the Department of Homeland Security. There are 3 agencies, is one of the 3 agencies. And when the petition is approved, the visa issuance job is at the US Consulate or US embassies abroad, which is part of the State Department. So, these 2 different agencies are involved right from the time of approval of H-1B petition to the issuance of visa. And when a person finally comes and knocks at the door of United States at the airport, I want to be admitted on H-1B, at that point of time, there is another agency which gets involved, which is CBP, Customs and Border Protection Force, which is again part of Department of Homeland Security. So, these 3 agencies play a very good role right from the approval of the petition to grant of visa and allowing that person to be admitted into the United States on H-1B status. Is it not interesting?
Yes, it certainly is, and I'm sure they're coordinated by computer technology too.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It used to be in the old days that there were no computers, and at times one hand of the government didn't know what the other hand was doing.
Right, yeah, I agree with you.
With the computers, it makes it much easier for them to know that.
You know, only thing I would like to tell the applicants who are likely to go abroad for interview, I would say just go on the website of some good law firm and you really get certain good tips like how to prepare for your examination. And I always say, always carry a complete copy of H-1B petition, because we file when there is a person who is sitting abroad, we file always the petition in duplicate. One copy is for USCIS and one copy is for the purpose of record, sending to Kentucky Center where these are uploaded, so that US Consulate can see those records. But sometimes there is a time lag. When these records are posted online and embassies can see, I always say carry a complete copy of the H-1B petition the way it was filed with USCIS. So you are hand carrying it, and if the officer says, oh, by the way, do you have a copy of the petition? You say yes. And always carry with you the original approval notice. They are still looking for the original approval notice. So that should also be with you. So if you are fully prepared to answer some simple questions, these questions are very simple. These are very much incorporated in your petition. Only thing is the applicant has to see what is written in the petition and what for he is coming to the United States.
You better know what his job's supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
What are the documents that are required to be provided by the candidate's employer?
Yeah, I would say, of course, the employer is going to give a copy of H-1B petition which was filed with USCIS. Then he should also issue a so-called employment letter where he should certify that this is the name of the person whose H-1B petition is approved at a salary of X amount and what are his job duties, because there is a time lag. When the petition is filed and when it is approved, 5 or 6 months are gone. or by the time he presents himself before the US Consulate or US Embassy for interview, maybe 5 months, 6 months, 7 months are gone. So, you have to confirm that this job is still continues to be available. So, that is the most important document. And then you should also think of providing pictures of your office, because nowadays there are many consulting companies who do not have their physical presence in brick and mortar so-called buildings, and they need to carry some pictures of their offices that this is the way this office works. And likewise, if possible, if the employer is willing to provide a copy of the tax return.
What if they don't have a brick and mortar office?
You know, it really becomes a big problem, because of course we try to overcome that kind of issue. Let us say that that person is just working as a consulting company, and then we provide a copy of the business contract between the consulting company and the so-called end client or a vendor in between, and then vendor has to issue a letter, and client will also be issuing a letter confirming this kind of arrangement, like there are 2 parties or 3 parties, and we have agreed to hire so and so person who is the employee of the employer. So, because here the employer-employee relationship also becomes a big thing.
So, you want the contracts to establish that there is this viable business, even if there's not a building.
Right. So, usually the end client, let us say GM refuses to sign any kind of letter. They will say, sorry, as per our policy, we do not want to issue any letter confirming this arrangement. They say, if we were to deal with the H-1B issues, so we will hire these people direct instead of going through you, because they have to pay a higher rate of fees to these vendors, and they are making money because of their expertise in identifying the right type of people and taking this entire headache, you know, of sponsoring the H-1B employees and dealing with their issues. So, but you have to explain, okay, here the end client is GM, and GM is not willing to issue any kind of letter, and USCIS understands. They understand that some of the companies don't want to issue these kinds of letters, but maybe from some affidavits or some copies of emails, you have to really document it very well, that this is the chain of different vendors and end client in order to prove that. If he is, let us say that person is working as an accountant in an accounting firm has an office, physical presence, it is not a problem, you know, it is very easier to prove that. But it becomes challenging when you are working on behalf of a consulting company who does not have a physical presence.
Right.
Yeah.
The H-1, is the H-4 interview a mere formality, or what are documents required for the H-4?
You know, when we are talking about the H-4, so H-4, first of all, let me explain, Ken. H-4 person may be the spouse or children under the age of 21, because here the adjudication of H-1B has already taken place. So, once the decision has been made about the principal beneficiary of H-1B petition, it should be comparatively easier. But again, you have to show your marriage certificate if you are the spouse, and you have to show your passport, which will give some information which will identify you, and you have to also prove, if you are going for interview after your spouse was issued visa, let us say 4 or 5 months back, that this person still continues to be in good status. If this person has already come to the United States and the person is not getting paid for whatever reasons, because people would say he has been benching or he does not have any project, he does not get paid. If he is not getting paid, that means he does not have any good status. At that point of time, getting H-4 visa by the spouse or the children becomes very, very difficult, or rather I would say it becomes impossible if the principal is not keeping a good status. So, all these challenges are there.
Well, it takes an individual who has certain skills such as yourself, who keeps all these rules in mind and can guide people through this complex maze.
All immigration lawyers, they have to work hard to keep their clients well informed and be ready to face all these kinds of situations.
Well, I fear that some are not as qualified as you are.
Well, it all depends.
Well, you're very qualified.
Yeah. Thank you.
If the H-1B stamp is already obtained in a passport, which is valid for 3 years, can the employee change jobs after 1 year?
Oh, sure, absolutely no problem. If the visa stamp is already there in the passport and he can change the job, of course he can change the job only when the new employer files a new petition, because there will be a different employer, there will be a different work location. So, that employer needs to file a petition. But you know, good thing is, if the visa is issued for 3 years, let us say person changes his job after 1 year, right? Now, he does not have to go back to the US Consulate or embassy to get another visa, even though employer has changed for the next 2 years, because visa stamp is already there. So, that's a good point.
I'd like to thank you for coming in. It was, as always, an excellent treat having you explain, you know, these very complex rules, because, you know, this is as complex as it gets. It's as complex as tax, it's as complex as, you know, healthcare. It's not easy type of law.
I agree with you, Ken. Immigration laws are very complex, like health laws and tax laws. I agree with you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.